Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mark and Andre Show, episode 78. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning into another great episode of the Mark and Andre Show. This is episode 78. Tonight's topics. A week-long break gives me some perspective on podcasting. Also, 3 movies coming this month that you should watch. Also, the amount of visitations, abductions, and sightings of UFOs leaves me with this to believe. It's all coming up here on the Mark and Andre Show. This is episode 78. This is August 4th, 2017. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Lyricology 101. My co-host, Andre Gaynor, who's not here with us at the present moment, I would like to put his shameless promotion ahead of time. That way we can cut to a shorter segment later on in the show. I also want to encourage you guys to come to the event August 26th, Summer Rising. Please feel free to go to the Instagram page of Rival Pro Wrestling. They're going to have a concert/pro wrestling event that I'm going to be attending. I am going to be hawking my wares, selling a bunch of merch over there. So I'm going to be doing what I love to do, is watching wrestling and making money. So I'll be doing both of those all at the same time while watching a concert. The events last from, I believe it's 4 to 12 p.m. or I believe 3 to 12 p.m. But nonetheless, please feel free to go to Rival Pro Wrestling on Instagram and look up their page, and then grab a couple tickets so you can watch some wrestling. This last week, there was no The Mark and Andre Show, and I kind of want to leave you guys with a little perspective on this, where I took a break. I took a break on a Friday knowing that I had a podcast to do, but fact of the matter is that I needed a break, and it kind of was a little overwhelming. Truth be told, there hasn't been much communication between me and my co-host, so a lot of that ties into me developing the show, getting a bunch of segments ready for the show, and prepping for this show. Whether you believe it or not, it takes a long time to produce an hour-and-a-half show. I take about 2 or 3 hours to develop a show with about 3 segments only, and it takes a lot of heart and soul into it. But the thing I want to get across to you guys is that taking a break gave me some perspective on what I've done so far at this point. I looked at me taking a break this Friday as something negative, but I was on the outside looking in on this situation with that said break being taken place. And I look back and you know what? I have 170 episodes, all been done. And the one thing that hasn't changed out of doing all of those 170 episodes is that I am still hungry to do podcasting. I'm still there in the mix, trying to find out what's going on in the world of conspiracy theories, in the world of alien investigation, the paranormal, current events, movies. I'm still hungry for that. I still want to know things like that. And even in the same respect to my podcasts with pro wrestling and with retro gaming, granted, with a new job that I have lined up, 50 hours a week is dedicated solely to that job, so it's kind of a little more difficult to muster up 3 total episodes with 100% effort. If I can give you one show at 100% with the other 2 shows taking a break, or being that those 2 shows are done every so often, I will do that rather than give you half-assed 3 shows. I won't do that. I will never do that. But I've learned it's sometimes okay to take a break and relax, be on the outside looking in, and realize that, you know what? You have to remain positive, especially because you have to realize, and I was doing a little self-reflection on this, and one of my coworkers, in fact, actually just sprung this across from me randomly while we were working, and he said, no expectation, there's no disappointment. And you know what? That's been the best piece of advice I can be given at this point, because I do have a lot of expectations for people, but a lot of those expectations do fall short. And this isn't a hit on anybody. This is just a general perspective from family, close friends, anybody, like all that. So with no expectations, there's no expectations, there's no disappointment, guys. So just make sure you guys learn the same lesson I did, is that, you know what, you got to roll with the punches. You got to keep going. You got to keep trucking along and keep doing what you do, because you know what? There's only one person living your life 24/7, 365, and that's yourself. And you need to keep going on, because you know what? It's not about someone across, it's not about your neighbor worrying about you. It's not about your friends worrying about you. It's about yourself. You have to make sure that you are putting in the most effort for your situation, because you want to make sure to live a full life. And you want to make sure you're doing things to the utmost of your ability that you yourself know that you're doing to the utmost. The lesson is that you keep achieving your aspirations and goals. You never let those go by the wayside. With me, taking a break was great. I took a break, but I knew that I was going to come back here next Friday and put on a great show for you guys. I knew that was going to be it. But taking that break on Friday gave me the ability to look back at this me being a little overwhelmed last Friday, and realize that, well, it happens. Take a break, relax, chill out, Mark. So I did that, and it felt great. I'm back here doing what I do best with podcasting, and I just do it because I love it, and I do it for people that say they enjoy the podcast as well. So there's a lot of motivators there, and there's a lot of motivation within myself to keep doing these podcasts for you and everyone else that listens across the land here of the planet Earth. Good old planet Earth. So that was just a little perspective I got for this week here on the Mark and Andre Show. Once again, you guys are listening to the Mark and Andre Show. This is episode 78. I'm your host, Mark Flores. My co-host, Andre Gaynor, is not alongside me this week. He will be alongside me as soon as he is willing and able to. But with that being said, I have my next segment ready for you guys here. It's 3 movies coming up this month that I want you guys to see. Now, granted, for the last year and a half of the Mark and Andre Show, 78 episodes deep, I've been reviewing mainstream movies. I've been reviewing movies. A few of them have been movies that are a little under the radar, but I do review them because they do appear via promotion on the radio or advertisements. So I'll check those out. But those are still kind of under the radar. Like the movie Silence. I reviewed the movie Silence, the Space Between Us. Those 2 movies, even The Phoenix Forgotten. I saw that and reviewed that. But those movies kind of fell by the wayside with very little promotional advertising for them. So I decided to do and look at movies coming up in this month that have no promotion towards them. These are trailers that I just saw, just took a look at earlier today. And I have 3 movies laid out for you guys to watch. The third one you guys are going to find as a real treat, but I have that stored up for you guys later. So the first movie, it's coming up this next Friday, August 18th. It's called Shot Caller, and it's a prison drama with newly released prison inmate. He's forced to orchestrate a major crime towards a rival gang once he is released. Now, any prison drama can fall between, being like the Shawshank Redemption or terrible prison movies, or terrible movies with the setting of prison in them. This movie looks like it's going to be a great emotionally charged movie with the prison inmate elements in it. It looks like an intense thriller with a perfect mix of emotion and hard, stern action. I personally like how the movie dives into the psychology of new prison inmates becoming someone else when they are released. Now, the psychology behind that is that, well, if a person goes into prison like an ideal citizen to the expectations of, being a citizen outside of your nation, to when you come into prison and you come out totally changed, was that person that that person that you come out of prison, was that person you the whole time waiting to come out, or were you born anew within prison and brought out either the best or the worst of you? That's always been an underlying psychology of prison inmates, whether they become someone else when they are released. And this has that in there. And for me, watching that kind of evolution within the trailer just itself, the guy he's just looks like a blue collar guy, comes into prison and then just gets tatted up, haircut, with like funny haircut with a beard. He just comes out with those stereotypes coming out of prison. So I'm intrigued by the movie Shot Caller because of the evolution of a person within a film. And not a lot of movies really tie into that with the backdrop of an institution of prison. So that's going to be something to watch for you guys. I've looked it up, and within my area code of Southern California, it's nowhere to be found, but try it on your guys' apps, like with Fandango, or just search it up. It's a Shot Caller. One notable actor that's in it's John Bernthal from The Walking Dead fame, from The Punisher, from The Wolf of Wall Street. He's in it, so make sure you guys take a peek at it if you guys are able to. Another movie that it's coming up, I believe this week or the week following, is Good Time, starring Robert Pattinson. It's a bank robber. The synopsis for this is that a bank robber finds himself unable to evade those who are looking for him. Robert Pattinson plays the brother to this bank robber, and he has to acquire about a large sum of money to release his brother. Now, watching this trailer, the film itself, it's primarily within the confines of like the interiors of just interior shots itself, and then outside it's nothing but night. And with that, it looks like it's in Los Angeles, but man, all you see is these neon colors. The neon colors reflect back on the hair of a couple of the actors in the film, and man, it looks lush from the outside night settings to the inside. You get a little contrast of night and day within it. So the trailer's looks like it was shot with odd Dutch angles and has this mockumentary type of feel to it. So I know that with this raw, visceral type of approach to a movie, that there's a lot of dialogue that gets intensified with that. Another thing too with this movie, since Robert Pattinson's in it, a lot of people are probably groaning, thinking about Twilight Robert Pattinson. The thing is that Robert Pattinson was typecasted for a major amount of time after Twilight. But that's not his fault neither. I mean, you look at people that are typecasted, well, there's going to be a large amount of money coming with the role that you're getting typecasted in. And if you're not getting any other work, you have to take the work that's given to you, especially as an actor, where we all know that work isn't really promised. So watching this trailer, it just looks very intense. The color palette of this trailer has very bright colors, so it looks very pleasing. It's very pleasing to look at. So watching that, I think Good Time's going to be a good film. I mean, it's getting a lot of acclaim with it, but I want to actually watch it myself. And like Shot Caller that I mentioned, this movie is only exclusive to a couple of theaters in Los Angeles. So with a little bit of research, make sure you guys look up Good Time. And the third film that I recommend for you guys here on the Mark and Andre Show is Hook and Back to the Future 2 are going to be showing up this Friday at a theater in Santa Monica. So make sure you guys watch it. It's a double feature of Hook and Back to the Future 2. The best Back to the Future of the trilogy, in my opinion. I love cliffhanger movies, so it's like a good little cliffhanger movie, especially Back to the Future 2. It's creme de la creme, I'll tell you that. But the beauty of it, and you guys seeing Back to the Future 2 and Hook in the theater, is that it's going to be displayed in 70 millimeters in the way that it was intended to be shot, because one of them's directed by Robert Zemeckis, So make sure to look at that. That's the way Robert Zemeckis intended to shoot Back to the Future. There's a lot of backdrop that some people miss by having the movie panned and scanned when you watched it on a tube TV or when you watched it in syndication. So make sure, if you guys haven't had the privilege to watch Back to the Future, the whole trilogy in theater, I have not yet, but that is one of the things on my bucket list. Make sure to go watch Back to the Future 2 in Santa Monica this coming Friday. It's going to be double feature with Hook, so I recommend everybody has the chance to go and watch it. There's a few movies, very few movies that I want to watch that aren't new releases but are actually classic films. It's Blade Runner, the Back to the Future trilogy. I want to see that in the theater itself, and then Top Gun, and probably Alien vs. Predator, and then Terminator 2. But yeah, that's a whole lot of laundry list there. But those are just movies that need to be watched in the sanctuary that is the movie theater. So make sure you guys go ahead and watch that. All those three movies. You had Shot Caller, Good Time, and then Hook and Back to the Future 2. For all my SoCal peeps, make sure you guys look up Fandango via Fandango, or you just look it up via Google search, and you'll probably find that you'll be able to get those tickets quicker than you can imagine. Once again, you guys are listening to the Mark and Andre Show, episode 78. I'm your host, Mark Flores. My co-host, Andre Gaynor, is not alongside me tonight, so Mark Flores is going solo in this podcast venture. The next topic that I'm going to be discussing is with the amount of visitations, abductions, sightings of UFOs, it's led me to believe this notion is that there's 3 points that I want to get across to you guys. Is that extraterrestrials are a lot closer than you think. Extraterrestrials probably have never ever left, and extraterrestrials may have found residence within Earth. Now, closer than you think. That's one thing I want to get across here. Now, there's a lot of speculation to where, since we're seeing a lot of alien visitations, especially as far as the 2010s go, we've had a lot of UFO sightings within 2017 and the 2010s. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of speculation that goes into it. It's like, well, if they're coming from another planet, that means that they've harnessed some sort of technology that gives them the ability to come around Earth whenever they please. Or maybe the fact is that they've always been closer to people than we've actually thought. Now, there's always been the idea that aliens have subterranean bases underwater. Even if you want to dig into the hollow Earth theory, where the Earth is actually within its core actually hollow, to where aliens are probably cohabitating with other humans within the hollow Earth. There's been a lot of speculation with that, or that the fact that they have been living on the other side of the moon, and the moon only takes a few days to get to. So you figure with their technology and with their anti-gravity technology, I mean, they're able to get to Earth fairly quickly than how we were during the very archaic Apollo moon missions. The other point as well is that aliens have probably always been here and never left. The fact is that maybe they have been cohabitating with people here within the U.S. government, or people here within the government, living different bases, different military bases all across the way, giving us information about advanced technology. You can even go into the fact that, well, look at the spike of UFO sightings from the mid to late 1800s to then the development of human technology, where, who knows, maybe they have maybe they arrived at that point or just came around, and we have been exchanging information and ideas, and just after that point we have seen a spike in technology to where, like I always use this example, in the early 1900s we were barely making the Model T, barely flying. Now we're looking at we're looking at about 1,000 years later from that time to now, 100 years later, we're able to fly into space, transport people into space. We're able to do a lot more things now than we were back then. And that's a huge spike. I mean, usually things like this would take a gradual pace, but it's just crazy to think that we're able to advance human technology without any outside assistance. It's not illogical to think that we have had assistance from there. Now, with the amount of visitations, abductions, and sightings of UFOs, this led me to believe this other point here is that the information that we've been given about UFOs, where if a local news network gives a story about UFOs and then they decide to backhand the whole segment by referring them back to like ETs, or referring them back to something elementary, like, oh yeah, they're just UFOs. Like, brushing that idea under the rug isn't an idea of the anchor, or isn't the idea of the news networks. No, it's just been so passé. We have been watching films of aliens so long that we became conditioned to believe that the idea of an extraterrestrial entity coming down to visiting Earth is impossible, because we've seen in movies where that shit just, if it's in movies, it just looks, it's fantasy, and we relate to those movies via fantasy in our reality. So we think that these UFOs don't exist at all, and it's just weird discs in the sky that just go pop 90-degree angles, go fast as all hell, and they're just, aliens just don't exist. To have that idea instilled in your mind it's an idea of conditioning now, to where they don't want you to believe that aliens are a possibility. But you guys have been 78 episodes deep into this with me and Andre discussing extraterrestrials and stuff, but it's always been an exciting ride to talk about this. But with everyone, with celebrities with celebrity sightings of UFOs, with ex-Apollo astronauts attesting to the fact that they saw UFOs during their moon missions or during their space exploration missions. The fact that we sent out a space satellite in the 1970s with our information out there, just floating out into space with our information of where we live, what we are, where we're at. They didn't do it for no reason, They did it for communication, for an advanced alien race. They didn't do it for microbes in fucking outer space, or if it crash lands, they don't want microbes to go on and try to interpret the satellite, because they don't have the intelligence to interpret it. They're expecting an advanced alien civilization to look at this and be like, well, this is where they're at. We can just type in some coordinates here and we'll find it that it's Earth. So the idea that in the mainstream media, a lot of people brush the fact of UFOs over, but up in the higher society of NASA and first class citizens, or even just an educationally enlightened citizens, they will all know that there is not necessarily a possibility of if we're ever going to see UFOs during our lifetime. It's a matter of when. But I can tell you, for a lot of people, a majority of people that stay stoic in their ways of reading religious texts and just believe that something of that magnitude is going to be the age of the apocalypse, that's going to be detrimental. And I think that's what's hindering a lot of visitations from happening, is that if for example, if a UFO drops down in the middle smack dab of Atlanta, Georgia, or even just around the Bible Belt states, there will be mass panic. straight up, and that people will have the idea that that the end of the world is near, when it's just an out of this world alien visitation. It gets like that. Not a lot of people are up to tune of what educationally enlightened people are believing. But just take this point with you guys. I mean, with the amount of alien visitations, abductions, and sightings of UFOs, take that into consideration, knowing that, well, I didn't believe in UFOs at first, but as soon as you do more research about it, you'll be able to find that, well, I may not believe in UFOs, but I know Dan Aykroyd saw a UFO and was being looked at by the Men in Black. The black guy from Alien, the first Alien, said he saw aliens. Jimmy Carter said he saw aliens. I mean, NASA is going to start a space squadron to protect the outer parts of Earth's atmosphere in outer space, to protect it from, they even said, outside interference. So it's a very sugar-coated way of saying, well, man, in case some Independence Day type shit pops off, we'll be there to protect it. What I'm really glad for, guys, and this is what I'm going to leave you with, is that a lot of people are becoming more accepting to the fact that, well, we're seeing a lot more UFO sightings more than ever, with the ability to watch and record anything on a phone, or a lot more communication that we're able to get off the ground after we see an alien, a UFO sighting. With that being said, it's great to see people more accepting towards it than being more fearful towards it. So that's what I'm going to leave you guys with. Once again, thank you guys for listening to the Mark and Andre Show, episode 78. I will let you guys know when Andre, my co-host, comes back, as soon as we find out when he's going to be able to come back. Andre, if you're listening, take as much time as you can. As far as that goes, guys, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to the show if you guys haven't already. If you guys have topics for me to review or movies for me to discuss, bring them on by. Go to the Mark and Andre podcast at gmail.com. That's Mark and Andre podcast at gmail.com. Go ahead and message them, and we'll be able to get some topics off the ground. Otherwise, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Mark Flores signing out.